2, 1, go.
Hello, this is But For Real Tho.
But For Real Tho.
Episode 3. We got a special guest in the building today to help us with our topics today. And those topics are.
Alright. Let's chill with special guests.
Last episode.
I did shout her out in the last episode, but I wouldn't say she's like a special guest. She's just kind of a guest. You know what I mean?
Wow, look at time. I think I gotta go.
Mediocre at best.
Relax.
I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Go ahead, Banna. Do your.
Okay. I'm Banna. None of these guys are my friends.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I'm just here hanging out.
You know, I'm Robert. As always.
I am Rohan Braithwaite. You still eating?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the sandwich was done. Go ahead.
I'm Nonah. Yo, it's Van. Always DJ Nifty.
Back again this week. It's Alex. How y'all doing?
I miss you, Alex.
We
Miss
did.
y'all.
We did.
I'm glad to be back.
But it's sad to say that we're missing another one of us this week. Kyle, we miss you, bruh.
Yeah.
Wish you had your hair. All right.
Let that man breathe.
Rip.
He out here getting this study on and stuff like that, so we ain't gonna fault him on that. But anyway, our topics today are the friend zone.
Ooh.
Everybody knows about the friend zone. Some of y'all may say that it don't exist. It kind of does.
Ooh.
And then our second topic of the day is going to be, does body count matter?
All body counts matter.
We're gonna get into that one later. And then we got a what were you thinking segment, like always. And then we also have our about last night segment as well.
Very special about last night.
Very special.
So it's gonna hit real close to home, y'all.
Very close.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, we're gonna get right into this friend zone topic. Question is, does the friend zone exist to a lot of y'all?
I personally think the friend zone exists because you always have like that friend, like it could be either sex, male, who has a female friend. The female friend wants the male, but the male friend doesn't want the female. So he gonna put her to the friend zone, be good friends, but like she really likes him, but he will never let her be his woman, right?
So the friend zone goes both ways?
It goes both ways.
Here's my view on
both ways.
Here's my view on that. That's just your friend. Stop naming it a friend zone because now you're making it a thing. You're making it a thing.
Monday know that good today.
That's my friend.
Monday know
Benna's
that
not
good
in the
today.
friend zone. She's just my friend. I'm never gonna do nothing with Banna because she's my friend. I'm not.
Monday know.
And if you are my friend, I will never have sex with you. If I have sex with you, you're not really my friend. I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to
So
tell
you
you.
trying to
Also, you have sex with your friend.
That's what I'm trying to say. So you can't have friend girls?
Oh,
No,
my friend.
no,
No?
I don't believe in that because that's not healthy because that's inner.
Wait,
Whoa.
I don't know about all that. Yeah.
Whoa,
You
wait.
lost me now.
It is not a good idea to have someone that you consider a friend be a sexual partner if there is romantic feelings involved.
Okay.
If there are on either
It's
side,
just toxic.
yeah, it is toxic because it always ends badly for somebody. Someone always ends up hurt, and someone always feels like they got fucked over. And in reality, there was a lack of communication.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think it does exist, but it will only exist in like very certain like kinds of situations. I agree with you where it's like if you just call it, I put him in the friend zone, it's creating a thing that didn't need to be there. However, there are certain times where it's like you have to make it known, very, very well known that yo, look, we are friends. We are not going to be anything else. I don't want to be anything but your friend. And so like there's been situations where I've like met a girl and we're like talking and stuff like that, and there's like this back and forth where it's like, are we gonna be friends? Are we gonna be more or anything like that? And I've gotten to the situation where I'm like, no, we're friends. Let me tell you something right now, we are friends. I would say that's putting somebody in the friend zone.
But the thing is that you should always have that conversation with your friends of opposite. If you have a person of opposite sex and that's a situation going on, you should always have that conversation.
Yeah.
Like that's not a conversation you should have at a certain point. That's a conversation that should be paramount to every close friendship between a man and woman.
Okay. Well, to me, I feel like a friend zone is like needed in a relationship between two people. As far as like being their actual friend before any relationship is established. Because if you are their friend to start off, then you get to know them a lot better because there is no tension between you two. So it's like you get to know that person for them instead of getting to know them while you're trying to establish a relationship. See, so that's what I feel like. I feel like it's definitely needed in that type of sense, but in just normal friendships, like if you've been somebody's friend for a long time and you want to be with that person, then y'all need to communicate like as much as possible so that shit doesn't go down in a way that it doesn't need to.
I feel like the friend zone isn't necessarily, whether it exists or not, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think the problems result whenever somebody, doesn't matter what sex they are, decides that isn't okay with them and the other person isn't on board. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yo, we are friends, and the other person's like, yo, no, listen,
I want you,
but I like you a lot though. And they're like, no. That's become a problem. That's where it's problematic.
I don't know. All this sounds a little fishy. I feel like you can't say that a friend zone is like a necessary step before you start dating someone, because like that's just being friends with someone and then realizing that you like them. Like you always know when you meet someone that they could turn into something, or you meet someone and you know you're just friends. I feel like the friend zone is just an excuse people to just get mad at people for not liking them back.
That's
Or just unreciprocated feelings. Like people have made that into that feeling where it turns on that. You could still just be friends with someone after you find out they don't like you, and then just stay friends. Like
yeah.
I think the friend zone is just like, it's really a mentality that people have, and I think it's like a really immature mentality, because I think it's just kind of like you just being in the sense of like, oh, I want to have this relationship with this person, and at the end of the day, you're really just in a relationship with people, like whatever relationship it is, if it's just we're friends, whatever, but you want like a specific thing and they don't reciprocate that, then I think that's just a way of people just being like, oh, this is the reason why, because I'm in the friend zone.
Like to get mad at them.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're not in the friend zone, they just don't like you that way, and that's just how it is.
Don't like you.
And that's just how it is.
I changed my answer before previously.
I
changed my answer previously.
I'm saying, I think
I do my colleagues say, show me the light.
At the end of the day, your relationships with people are who they are. They evolve. I knew Banna as just some random girl from downtown. At this point, Banna's like a sister to me. You know what I mean? Yeah, some random girl from downtown. That's how I knew you. I'm sorry. That is how we met.
Right.
Exactly. So it's just like relationships change, and like things like that happen. But I don't think it's like a thing of you being like, oh, I'm in the friend zone now because they don't want to be. No, they just don't want to be with you. They like where they're at with you. Your mentality might be a little bit farther along in a relationship than theirs is, and who's to say that it might not change? And coming at them with some "you're putting me in the friend zone" bullshit could completely break down like the building of a relationship, because somebody can see that.
Even the friendship.
Exactly.
I would stop if someone ever came up to me and was like, "Oh, you putting me in the friend zone now?" I'd be like, "Nah, we're done."
Yeah,
we're done.
There's no
chances are gone.
That's some shit I would expect to hear from like a middle schooler or a high school. If a grown ass person was like, "Oh, she put me in the friend zone," I would look
You're right.
It's not that crucial, bro.
You're a kid. You're a child.
Yeah.
I feel like putting somebody in the friend zone is like, I think it's you trying to feel a little bit better about what happened, and it's almost in a sense like trying to blame them for the way that they feel about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So rather than you accepting your part of the fact, like, okay, maybe I'm just not the type. And the thing is, you don't know what they're going through or anything like that. Maybe they just had a bad day, or maybe you just straight up are not their type. Maybe you smell bad all the time. Nobody really knows. But seriously, but the thing is, if you're like, oh, but you don't like me, and you put me in the friend zone, rather than you saying, all right, that's cool, I'm a different person than they are, and they can make their own choices about us and our relationship, just like I can myself. rather than having that approach to it, when you're like, oh, they put me in the friend zone, you blame them for the way that they feel and what they're trying to be honest about.
And I think a really big thing about that is a lot of people don't know how to deal with rejection.
Mhm.
And you gotta
Yeah.
learn how to deal with it and learn how to be like, oh, okay, like I saw myself with this person in this connotation and they don't see me that way.
Mhm.
Some people, that can crush them. That can just completely like, they don't really know how to deal with it. And it's just like, oh, well, shit, now I don't know what I'm supposed to do because I saw it going this way and it's not going that way.
That's true.
On that point, never be afraid to get a no. Never be afraid to ask, because the worst case scenario is you get no, and then you can work on it from there.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've had girls I've talked to tell me no, and I'm like, okay, we good.
Okay.
And then
Okay,
okay, we good. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then, like in the end, like a month or 2 months later, they might come back at me and be like, hey, like I actually like you. Because I didn't act like a child and was like, oh, I didn't handle rejection badly, and then like a grown-ass adult, and they're like, oh, maybe I have a wrong idea. And now when you ask the person no, even if they say no immediately, you've now put it in their head that there is an opportunity for them to get with you if they want to.
Exactly.
If you're a child about it, what you're saying to them is like, no, I made the right decision. That person's a child. I shouldn't be with that person. If you act like an adult, they might say, hey, this person might be a little bit more mature than I thought. Or they may have never even thought about being with you in a romantic way before. It just maybe not crossed their mind, and now it's in place.
Now that y'all talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, with me, the point I want to make is, like, you gotta know when it's your season for a type of person or when it's their season for you. Because if it is your season for that person, then they'll find whatever reason there is to keep you in their life. Whether it's in a friendship or whether it's romantically, however that may be. So you gotta see it as maybe it's not my time for this person yet, if that actually is your person. So yeah, that's just my take on it.
Yeah. I feel like we're also saying, I feel like we think it goes without saying that all of these people in these hypothetical relationships we're talking about are fully functional and, like, I guess, respectful adults about all these things, that they're going to come at you and be like, yo, this is the way that I'm feeling. And that isn't necessarily always the case. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be a subjective sort of thing. Personally, a couple of years back, I ran into the situation where, like, I was talking to this girl that I'd known for a while. I thought we were really feeling each other. Like, she asked me on dates, I asked her on dates and stuff. And then the way that she told me that she put me in the friend zone, quote unquote, was by bringing another dude to the thing that she invited me with. Too. And I was like, oh, okay. For real.
It be like that.
That's how I learned. So don't do that. Just be honest with each other and with yourself.
For men and women, never do that. That never turned. Unless you have an extremely mature person, 9 out of 10, that's gonna blow up in your face, and you're just gonna look like a dick or a bitch. And I'm gonna be honest, that's a bad
That
look.
wouldn't work if you're a mature person.
That wouldn't work for anybody. Because
I'm real mad right now.
I'm still mad about it.
I know you are. I
I've
see
ever
on
been
your
curved
face.
my whole life. It's never happened before, never happened since. I still remember it.
God.
But like, that's the worst thing you could do, because when you do that, you're not telling the person I don't want to be with you. You're telling that person, this person is better than you. And that's not what you want to tell someone that you want as a friend, because what you're telling them is you're not good enough for me.
Yeah.
And no one wants to hear that. No one wants to be called a loser. No one wants to say you're not worth it.
Thank you, Nonah.
No, it don't make anybody angry.
Second place is not the place for people to be. It just puts them in a bad, like, mindset.
That's true.
They just feel like they aren't enough for one person. And if, there's a lot of people that are, like, going through stuff, and if they get rejected by one person, they think the world is over. And that's not how it should be.
That's
so
what I'm
don't
saying.
do that. Don't do that scenario.
People cannot deal with rejection very well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alex, about your situation, but
That's cool.
this has sparked a question in my head. Like, I'm asking the group and asking the audience, like, what's like the worst rejection you've felt or you had to go through?
Oh.
Excluding Alex, because he just told us.
Yeah.
We're gonna start with Banna.
You don't try to ban it.
Something special.
Come back to me.
Damn. I gotta think about that one.
That's
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of L's in my lifetime, so there's a lot to sort through. I'm going through my cabinet right now. Hold up.
You
Let
gotta
me
go
look
from A
through
to
real
Z.
quick.
All right, we'll take a quick break. come back.
Oh, wait, I actually got one.
All right, then.
I literally got one.
Never mind.
So,
You still cut it up.
so in high school, there was this one girl. I don't really never dated anyone that went to my high school. There was one girl at my high school that I actually liked, and as an older person and talking to other people, everyone knew I liked her, including her, but I never said anything simply because I was just like, I wasn't trying to have drama at school. But the worst that ever occurred was that I asked her out, and she said I would think about it, and then she started dating one of my football teammates.
That means she thought about it and it just wasn't.
Wait, what did she say?
She said she would think about it. She said that she wanted some time to think about it, and then like that next week she was dating one of my teammates.
She's foul.
That's foul, bro. That's the foulest of fouls.
Didn't even let you know.
Damn. She didn't even give you a heads up.
I just found out. I was like, oh shit.
You just saw a picture and you were just like, oh,
No, I saw them at school.
holding hands.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. I was
Sadly
like, this is
crying.
a thing. Oh damn.
Bro.
Damn. That's rough, bro.
Wow.
The hardest rejection I've went through was this like about 4 or 5 months ago. Went downtown, met a nice cute honey. We like after downtown, we walked along.
You gotta stop. Hold on.
Why did you pause after that? Like,
Yeah, honey.
I mean, look around like.
A nice cute honey. This is on camera. He said.
That's right. We got
Alright,
it.
we got it. So I noticed this cute honey, and we chatted a little bit at Monsoons. Made our way to a Hawaiian barbecue.
Ooh.
I was a gentleman, bought her a meal, so we ate.
That Hawaiian?
And
You got money.
hey man, like they need to eat
Social
too.
was right across the street.
Alright, but fuck.
It's close.
Downtown.
Social was close to like two.
Alright, so
I mean, I'm just saying.
Alright,
Interrupted, man.
Damn. Alright, so after we ate our fun, like the food and stuff, I
Awesome.
asked for a number. I thought I could get it. She's like, oh yeah. She grabs my phone. She like types for a minute. Then I'm like, ooh, alright. She put her name and contact and everything in it. I was like, cool. Finally, the next day, I'm like, I'm gonna hit her up. I text her, instantly got like an error message. I was like, oh, what the heck? So I check out her phone number, like her contact, no phone number in it. It's just a contact name.
So you just called it.
Wait, but that's some smart ass shit.
That's a smart ass
That's
phone
a
number. It's
smart
only the
ass
I'm
contact
mad at
name.
you, brother. I'm mad at you.
I was like,
That's smart, but that's
I mean, that sucks, but like,
That's even
I kind of want to use that now.
I don't even want.
Damn.
That's the meal.
I was like,
Oh,
Why did
shit.
she take the Hawaiian?
She
Wait,
was
damn,
lying.
she did. That's like something I would do if I
But
first
no,
met
but
the
he already
guy.
paid for the food before he asked. She could
Like, I
have
at least
said
gave
no.
the
She was
number.
already. She had the W already. She had to go for
She was
overtime
already living
anyway.
good.
She stabbed the dead man. Damn.
That's what I'm saying.
She already got the W, but she was like, I might as well rub it in. She rubbed in the burn.
Damn.
Well,
She took your food and left.
And they acted like she did. The worst part,
That's
like,
ruthless.
she could have been like, nah, I don't want to give you my phone number. She was like, yeah, I'll give you my phone number. And then not, like, what was her plan if you looked at her
See,
contact number? Because I do that. I just look at it because I want to know where someone's from. And it's always interesting to see new phone numbers. If I don't open that, I'd have been like, yo, like, you didn't have to even say yes. You could have said no. What the fuck is this?
You could have said no. That's what I'm saying.
Could have gave you a wrong number.
I'd be happy with the wrong number. Like,
You'd be content with a wrong number.
is this such and such? No, this is John. Like, all right, John.
All right, John.
Like, you
You
know,
cool?
that's if you see them out later, like, oh, I must have put in the wrong number. But I'm talking to somebody else now. So then that ends at 2.
I guess. But that's just.
That's a lot, but that's
I'm
just a
sorry.
lot. That's already a lot.
I'm
That's
sorry.
bad.
Good thing.
I'm mad at this
months ago
person.
and not just
I'm
yesterday.
disappointed at this woman.
That hurt me.
I'm disappointed at a faceless human being.
Yeah, so I'm disappointed at this human being.
I mean, I think for me, the toughest rejection I've ever went through was it's kind of on the lines of what Nonah said. Back in Philly, shout out to all my people back in Philly. Anyway, so back in Philly, I went to this high school called New Media Tech, and there was this girl that I was like cool with for like a good couple months, and then I started catching feelings for her and stuff like that, and I like made it known to her. I'm like, hey, you know, I got feelings for you. Like, I want to like get to know you because, you know, back in high school that was the word, that was the phrase that you used. I want to get to know you. And
I really
No, she,
I like you.
we talked about it.
That's what we use
I
it
really
for.
like it.
Like you.
I like that's some Japanese shit.
We talked about it for a good minute. We started texting and stuff like that, and then I had a basketball game, and I told her to come. So she came through. She came through to the basketball game. I was on the court playing, but it was a free throw being shot, and I'm behind the 3-point line, just chilling, waiting for the shot to go up. And I see out the corner of my eye her walk in with another dude.
Ooh.
And I'm like, bruh, she really just threw me off my game right now. Like, how? Like, why is she doing this right now? Like, at my game? At my game, you want to do this? I was so fired up, yo. I mean, it didn't really affect me that much because I dropped 15 that night. That was a cool little 15 number. But anyway,
Quiet 15.
quiet 15, just a low key 15. But yeah, after the game, I confronted her. I was like, "Yo, what is this?" And she was just like, "I just can't do this with you." And I'm like, "Oh, the fuck does that mean? You can't do this with me? You could have at least said something before you showed up to my game with another dude. Like that's just foul. Like,
That is foul, Rob. Rob, that's foul.
That's disrespectful.
It's foul when people show up to things with other people.
Do you need the number to my therapist?
Everything's cool.
You
Go
need to
ahead.
have a confessional.
I know.
Go
Go
ahead.
talk to your pastor
No,
about this.
that.
Damn.
We ain't skip you, Banna, for no reason. We coming back to you.
I was thinking,
Okay.
because I feel like I've taken a lot of rejections in my life.
Else happen.
They do. It's okay, because you learn from them.
Embrace
Why
your
don't you bounce
L's.
back?
I love all my
You
L's.
still win
Sean,
championships.
Sean,
Take it
Big
out.
Sean, bounce back.
Bounce back, Sean, because he listens to this regularly. Yeah.
Never know.
Um,
You could. You want to pick it up right
Uh,
now? You better at Big Sean on the Twitter page.
Shout out Big Sean.
I'm trying to. I like once dated a guy like freshman year, that like we were dating and like I assume like I feel like when you take someone out to like dinner and stuff and like you take them places that's considered dating. Especially like when it's just you two. So like in my head I'm like freshman year I'm like yeah okay we're going on dates and we weren't like saying anything. And then his parents came to town and he asked me to have dinner with them.
That's
right?
That's
They were-
Yo, y'all cuffs.
They were, yeah, and I was just like, okay. And I remember we had dinner and I was talking to his parents and we were all just like chilling, talking about. And then the next week, like, I just remember I was texting him and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be ballsy. I'm gonna text him something nice. So like, something like trying to like get it moving forward. And he was just,
Saucy.
and then he just sent me, I forgot what the text said, but he said something back along the lines of like, you're like the coolest little sister to me. And I was like,
Oh, you got the little sister.
oh, okay. And sorry parents, but then I ended up dropping the class we had together because I just didn't want to do it. We had a class together, that's how we met, my freshman year, and then it was like 2 weeks into school, I think, and then I just dropped the class because I don't want to deal with that anymore.
You better not ever do that again.
And I would always see him around campus too, and he would always be like,
Bro.
let me say hi to me too, and I was like, oh no.
If you listening to this podcast, man,
Fuck you.
we just want to give a firm fuck you. Anyway, no,
I don't
that's
know how I feel about that. That's rude.
yeah.
Why
I'm like,
you-
just take it to your
why you
parents.
don't
Like,
bring
your
that's
parents in?
parents. I was like,
Don't bring your parents in no
Everything was
bullshit.
okay.
Come on,
I mean, like
dog.
it wasn't really okay, but like the parents.
like if it was all the other stuff, like if we were just going to get dinner and stuff, I'd be like, I can see how you get that misconstrued, like we're just hanging out. Like the like
Don't bring
Yeah,
your
yeah.
parents
What?
in your
Like,
shit.
what?
That's quite a bit.
Cause now the parents know you're like, ooh, what do you do? Like all this.
I never saw the parents again, so it
Parents
didn't
are
really matter.
parents are a lifelong. Like if I introduce you to my parents, you in my life forever, male or female. If,
For real.
Whether you want to or not, just because, like my mom will still be like, hey, how they do? How's
Yeah,
so-and-so?
yeah,
I
have to like, oh, so and so's doing this.
Yeah, I was like,
exact
bruh,
face you make.
no one
You
has
like,
to my mom. Talked to her last week.
It's true.
Literally, my mom, I was talking to my mom on the phone. She said, who you with? And I was like, oh, I'm walking home with Nonah. She was like, put him on the phone. I was like, all right, I guess.
Man.
She was emphatic about it. Oh, man.
No,
Oh,
my parents
yeah.
wouldn't do that. That'd be my sister though. She already friends with
I
everybody.
mean,
anyway.
I know your sister. I've known your sister for years.
Guess what? She's already better friends with Rohan now. They're like best friends. She's
Damn.
closer to Rohan than she's with me.
Damn.
What did I
Who,
tell you?
Lydia?
What did I tell you?
Shout out Lydia.
Yeah, everyone knows
That's what I'm
Lydia.
saying.
Shout out Lydia, you a real one too.
You are a real one.
How you
Shout out
doing?
Lydia.
All right, Rohan, you next.
Mine's kind of a quick one. It was like I took too many L's. I
You
repressed
put
a
it
lot
on
of
your
my
Twitter.
L's.
You tell everyone.
Oh yeah, I have my
Yeah.
I have my L counter on my Twitter, just so y'all know. It's my L's for
L counter?
yeah on my Twitter.
His Twitter name is.
What's your
Yeah.
Twitter name?
What's my Twitter name? I don't even know it right now. I
Real
think it's
boy.
the Real
It's like-
Robo.
It's
I'm
like
Rude
so
Boy
Rude
Row.
Boy Row.
Yeah, I'm Rude Boy Row right now. Check my win loss right now. Actually, let me pull it up.
Stop.
Anyway, let me just go ahead. So basically,
my numbers.
I was talking to this girl for a while. Okay, where am I?
57 wins, 49 losses.
49 losses in 2017. We out here. I got a winning record at least.
Yeah, that's true.
I got close to 500 at some point. And I stopped going out. Like I was like, I'm done. I can't do anything else. I'm taking no more L's. I just want to have a winning record by the end of the year. What were you saying?
Didn't you take a W recently?
I did. I took 2 W's recently.
Did
I'm
you-
very
did you
proud of
add them
myself.
to the-
I add them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I put them in there.
But for real
I
though.
thought it was 55 a while back. I was like,
Nah, I put them in there. Yeah, don't worry about it. We got it. Sometimes what are perceived as W's turn into L's, and what are perceived as L's turn into W's, so the count kind of
That's
flip
wisdom.
flops.
That was wisdom.
Yeah.
That's like a, yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Exactly.
It's like Meek Mill said. Wins
There you
and
go.
losses.
Hey, shout out Meek Mill. Free Meek
Hey,
Mill, actually.
free him. He
Free
just got booked
He
2
also
to
listens
4
to the
years
podcast.
for probation violation. Come on,
that's
man.
come on, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Just hear him, brother.
Stop it.
back to Boat's rejection story.
My rejection story. I was talking to this girl for a while. I thought things were going pretty well. I was down for it, and I was like, yo, I'm trying to be with you. What's up? Like, what's up with it? And she was like, okay, I'm down for this. But she said it in a way that was really weird to me, and I was just like, I was like, you know what? Maybe you should take some time to think on this, because I was like, you seem like you rushing into this decision, because she texted back hella quick. It was being really suspect. So I was just like,
Wow, you're catching on.
yeah, I was like, I don't know what's up with this. So I was like, why don't you take a couple days? So she took a couple days. Now we were just texting regularly. And then she just stopped texting me. And I was like, uh-oh, the fuck's going on? So then I was like, yo, you still trying to go out on such and such day? And she said, oh, I've been had a boyfriend for 3 months. I just didn't know how to tell you. I was like, alright.
I mean, like,
I didn't know I could tell you.
I was like,
She
she
was
is
so
saying.
right,
I
happened.
feel this was
Yeah.
definitely heard. I think I know you taking worse L's than that though.
It's
Oh,
fine.
you know I've taken worse L's than that. Some of them I can't talk about though.
This is
Yeah.
also true.
Yeah,
Some of them are hella funny.
you know I've taken worse L's than that. Some of them are just we gotta keep that under wraps, bro.
Damn.
But for real though.
But for real.
Those stories are way too long too.
Oh, those are real
That'll
long.
take up a whole podcast. Damn.
If y'all want those stories, y'all gonna have to request them
You're
personally.
gonna have to request it.
Yeah.
Robo's
Request them
L's.
personally.
Just have a segment with
This is the Robo's L special. I got hella.
Got
hella.
on Twitter.
I got hella.
We got Snapchat.
But for real though,
I should
we
talk for
took
this week.
a lot of L's in our years of trying to be in a relationship with somebody. But anyways, we gonna get into does body count matter?
Hoeing.
All
And
right.
if it does, then why? If it doesn't, then why the fuck not?
Who wanna go first?
I'll go first.
I'll go
I go
first.
first.
Start.
I'm gonna say this.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Damn,
That's a long pause. That's a long pause.
Wait, can I say something
You
real
said
quick?
bars. Go ahead.
Real quick.
Good
Somebody
cut
made
there.
a really good point today to me when I asked about this, and they said,
If you-
body count, but we don't want it to matter, but it matters. Like we don't want it to.
Whoa.
A body count matters, and we try to say that it doesn't, but it does.
There's a point in which you
They
don't want it to
definitely
matter.
trying to say that it don't.
My thing
But
about
it
it is,
do.
it's like if I think it's no matter how, if it's high, if it's low, if it's somewhere in between, it's gonna say something about the person whether you like it or not. And people are gonna infer different things about you once you tell them what it is, just depending on who they are and in their own thing. So you could be like, oh, mine is 34, which I'm not gonna say it's good or bad. But depending on who you're talking to, they could be like, "Oh man, you are the shit," or they could be talking to you and just be like, "You are fucking disgusting." So it's really a subjective thing when you think about it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if it's high, it just tells me a lot about that person. Is my point.
I'm just saying, if it's high, I want nothing with it. Think about it.
Wow. He just gonna put that out
Right
there.
off
Yeah.
the bat.
Yeah, think about it.
Right.
She has sex with 100 people.
She got a buck.
How long she been
She
alive?
got a buck on her. Okay.
She about 25. She got
Okay.
100. She got 100 body.
That's 4 years.
What did you do?
I'm joking.
I mean,
You 1 year old pumping.
Alright, I'll say 50. I'll drop it down to 50. Drop it down to 50.
She got half
I
a
mean,
buck.
So like anybody she's been with
2 quarters.
has at least been with somebody else. So like
I mean,
that as like elevates your chances of catching something.
look, here's the thing.
Well, I mean,
If you've been with a lot of people and you are still like, you don't have any type of disease or anything like as far as like anything bad with you going on, then an exception can be made. But at the same time, to me, a body count matters when it's brought up in the wrong context. You know what I mean? Like, if y'all just chilling and stuff like that, and like somebody says something, like somebody like outside of you two say something, and either your girl or your dude catches wind of it, and they just like bring it up, and you like, oh shit, my ass.
hey, some people got a dark past. Some people got a dark past.
Like, and like, to be honest, it's like you can't really fault certain people on their body counts because it's like they're just dealing with the situations that they were put in.
That's very true.
And it's not like they made a point to have sex with every girl that they met or every guy that they met. It just happens that way.
Sometimes people just meet a lot of people.
Exactly.
They cross paths.
Exactly. But I mean, a lot of people like, you know, they have a filter where they cut themselves off at a certain point in the interaction with that person at the time. Maybe that interaction comes back and they may actually act upon it or not, but you know, that's up to them. But anyway, I just don't think that it really matters until somebody that is irrelevant in your situation brings it up.
For me, does body count matter? I say yes and no. I say yes and
No,
no.
you gotta be this.
No.
I'm gonna say yes and no because in
Explain
this
both
context,
sides.
it matters in the way of your health. You want to be very like responsible with who you're hooking up with making sure you stay protected, stuff like that. So if somebody's got something, and a lot of times people have something they won't tell you about.
Yeah, shout out Trojans.
Shout out Trojans.
Shout out to
Hey, bro, for real though. Shout out Trojans. 'Cause good Lord, it's a scary world out there though. Seriously, like you can people can catch something, not know about it. I had a friend who caught something from her boyfriend because her and her boyfriend had broke up. He went, slept with somebody else. They got back together, slept together, and she got something from her boyfriend. Like it matters in that context, but in the context of if that's gonna affect your relationship with somebody, I don't think it should. Just because who other people have been with, it doesn't matter at the point where you guys are. If you're with me, it doesn't matter. Like I really don't care who you've been with before. You're with me now. Like we're together. I don't really care who you've been with. And if somebody come to me and go, "Oh man, I slept with your girl." Okay, you're not sleeping with her now. So what?
Exactly.
What do you why like and what? like I got her now. I'm going home. I'm going home to her right now. What are you doing? You sitting at home busting a nut in your couch, bro? Like I really don't.
But what if they got
I'm
video
saying.
footage? Ray J.
Oh God,
Ray J with it. Like,
that's different. That's different.
You're gonna have to square up.
Oh yeah, if somebody,
You
yeah,
immediately gotta
he said like
say
Ray J, like niggas making songs about hitting
No,
a girl
no.
first and shit. That's different.
That isn't.
That's just
That's boasting.
Yeah.
That's creating problems.
At that point, you're disrespecting.
That's
like,
that's
yeah.
boasting about a ghost. Like they're not in your life anymore.
Woo!
Ghost boasting.
Ghost boasting.
Ghost
You
boasting.
bragging about something that's not even a part of your life anymore, and that's when that's just.
But
something
that's
you
my
can't
whole
do.
thing. I think it matters in the sense of you want to make sure you're being safe, you want to make sure you're staying healthy, but it doesn't if it's going to cause issues in your relationship. I think if you're looking at somebody and you're shaming them for their body count, you shouldn't be with them at all. You shouldn't even be trying to fuck with them or talk to them because you don't really deserve that person. Because like Nonah said, everybody goes through things. Everybody has moments where they feel like they might need something and it might not be it. And sometimes people are ashamed of their body count. So if you bring it up to them and they're like, oh, they trust you with that, and then you judge them for it, like you're kind of a piece of shit for that. Like that's some fucked up shit. Because somebody's trusting you with information about their life, trusting you with a time period that might not have been the brightest for them, and you're judging them for it.
Ooh, on that note, real quick, when I said that it tells me something about that person, I meant as though you went through something in your life that's something that's the decision that you made. Not that I'm like, oh, you nasty. It puts it in my mind that like you went through a certain point in your life and that was the decision that you made for whatever the circumstances.
Body count can be good character.
Yeah.
What? You go through some shit. People who go through some shit, they're stronger than other people.
I'm gonna say for me, I have a high body count. I'm not gonna say numbers, but I do have a very high body count because I went through some shit when I was really young, and I kept going through it up until I became an adult. And so the thing is, I learned a lot from that, and I grew as a person. I'm not the same person I was when I was going through that. And so, like, for a lot of people that have high body counts, it's also a different point in their life. They might have grown to be like me. There was a point in time I was a dickhead, and I was a fuckboy. I was a dickhead and a fuckboy, and I grew up and I realized that what I was doing wasn't good for me or other people. I was safe about it. I always used protection, but it was still not a very good trend for me. But how I also look at it is that unless your body count 0, it does not matter, because if you have sex with one person, it doesn't really matter how many other people you've had sex before. And so it's just a matter of you could be extremely inexperienced in having sex if you have sex with a lot of people.
Sure.
But you could be extremely experienced and know exactly what you're doing and have only had sex with 1 or 2 people. Mm-hmm. It's not. And the thing is that someone might have a body count of, let's say, 20, but let's say they're 25. They started having sex when they were, let's say, 20 years old. That's like what, that's like 4 people a year. That's a person a quarter. That's like a business quarter. That's a person a business quarter. It's not a lot of people.
A fiscal year.
When you think of it that way, most relationships only last for like 3 or 4 months anyway. Yeah. So that means that the person could just, my person might just be in a relationship, and so they just happen to have had a lot of boyfriends. And you don't get mad at people who say, oh, I've had like 6 boyfriends. You don't be like, oh man, you're nasty. Or I've had 15 boyfriends over the course of my entire life. It's not like, oh, you're nasty. Like, oh damn, you've been with a lot of people. Yeah. But it's not like a big deal. But when you start saying, oh, I've had sex, it becomes a completely different situation. All I'm saying is that it matters only as much as you want it to. If it matters a lot to you, and if it's gonna change the way you look at a person, don't ask. Don't ask. Don't tell. Keep that information to yourself, because like I am ashamed of my body count. I'm very ashamed of my body count. When people ask me that, I tell them it's a very personal thing. I don't like people knowing about it. Yeah. I don't tell anybody. And when a lot of people, when I was younger, especially when I was first realizing like how bad it was, a lot of people would ask me, I'd lie, I'd cut it in half. I'd be like, because the thing when people later on would ask me, well, what's your really body count? I was like, it's honestly none of your business. Yeah. If you're not my girlfriend in the sense that I intend to see the rest of my life with you, what's the point of me telling you? Right. My friends don't need to know, because they ain't ever gonna have sex with me.
Hey.
And my family doesn't.
You had a girlfriend. That's red flag 1.
I feel like everybody knew that, but you didn't have to say it. I get it.
Pineapples. I'm never gonna touch it, bro.
It said pineapple juice.
That's all I'm saying.
Pineapples.
I'm never gonna touch
pineapple
you.
juice.
I'm concerned.
For real though.
But yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna finish up. Short, sweet. Body count matters as much as you make it. If you don't walk up, if a high body count scares you, don't bring it up. If it's something you're liberal with, make sure your partner is too.
It's true.
As we get older, people are gonna have past, people are gonna have histories, and that's something you have to get over. I came from like a pretty relatively like conservative like family, and so when I started getting out into the world and like hearing all these stories and then experiencing a lot of it myself, that was something I had to get over. Was like people with higher things than like myself for a while, and I was like, oh shit, maybe like not in the sense like they're being terrible, but like I needed to go like catch up or something like that. And that it definitely is not the case. You're gonna live your own life at your own pace. And so body count to me isn't something to be intimidated by whenever you're in a relationship. or if you're just talking to somebody casually or anything like that. It's just something that I think that you should be aware of if you want to.
If you're mature enough to handle it too.
Banna, what you think?
Uh-oh.
She's always the last to
What you
comment.
think, Banna?
I'm always sitting here thinking. Me personally, I don't care for body count. Like, I don't care about a guy's body count. It doesn't really matter to me. I feel like people's attitude about body count is what affects it. Like, I'm someone who's really nervous and like really self-conscious about someone like cheating on you while you're dating them. And I think if they have it, like you guys said, if you have an attitude with your body count where you're like boasting it up and you're like throwing it around like it's like the best shit of your life, like that shit's not cool. And like it creates like this image of you that makes you feel like that. For me personally, like if I was dating someone and they did that, I'd be like, okay, like I get really uncomfortable. But if someone like, people go through shit, yeah, like people go through shit all the time. And if your body count's high or low, like it doesn't really matter as long as I know that like that person is with me, like to be with me, then like it's not my business. Like it's not my business to know what you've done in the past. And like it's also not my business what you do after you date me. Like even if we're not together anymore, because like even if I just become one of the numbers, like that's not my problem. But I like it does suck that for me personally, like how different the atmosphere about count is for girls than guys.
That's very true.
Because you guys talk about this, and like in my head I'm like, I feel like it would be a whole different story if I was talking to some other girls about body count. Because like some girls would like lie about it, or like they would never bring up their body count because like, you know, people start calling them hoes, like they think they're hoeing around even if they date more than like 2 guys, like. But like people's body count can be in like 50s, 60s, and like, you know, for guys, people don't worry about it as much. But like, I mean, like it's nice to hear that like Nonah, like that's something that you know, you're self-conscious about, it worries you, and it's something you want to like make sure that it's the right people who know. But it's also very different for girls, and so
That's a double standard, man.
yeah, it sucks.
I've gone through a similar experience like that where it's just like, mine necessarily wasn't a breakup, but it was just having a situation with a girl where you think something's going to go one way, like I said, and it goes a different. And it was kind of hard for me to deal with. And for me, when I got my count up, it was just because I wanted to feel wanted by somebody. That was my whole thing. That was because in that situation, it was like I almost felt discarded. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like I had hung out with this person a whole lot. Like we had spent time, just us, like cuddling in my bed, like watching movies, getting to know each other, like watching each other's favorite movie, and then it just didn't materialize into anything. Like it was just a situation where she was like, well, I'm just not in a position to want to like date. And now it's just kind of hard on me. So I was just kind of like, well, now what am I supposed to do? Because like now we don't even hang out like that anymore. Like I don't know what to do. Like I felt unwanted. So that was a situation where it was just like, you know, you just try to seek out certain things in other people. And that was how I felt wanted, is because it's like, oh, somebody wants to have sex with me, well, they want something with me physically, you know? So it was like, that's how I kind of coped with that. And that's just not a really healthy position to be in. So yeah, body count can be very shameful for a lot of people, like Nonah said. And like for me, that's kind of what happened. It got to that point where it was like, I saw sex a certain way before then, and then after it, I was just kind of like, you know, it kind of changed a lot of different things. So
Yeah, and Tinder is a really.
Oh nah. Oh nah.
Tinder is sometimes the #1 source of like these hookups happening, especially nowadays in this society, because you know online dating is a very
Big business.
yeah, a very big business. So Tinder and like
Bumble.
Bumble, and like other shit.
Coffee and
I don't know if a lot of us. I don't know a lot of people my age using Match.com or anything like that. Yeah, Match.com or anything, but like if you're using it, then you know these types of things happen. Like blackpeoplemeet.com, like Christian Mingle,
Farmers Meet.
Asians only.
But I mean, the whole difference between those is you got to pay for those.
exactly.
Tinder free,
Tinder
it's
free.
right at your fingertips. Bang bang, you're done.
Literally.
Literally. Bang bang.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like sometimes body count matters to some people, but in other cases it doesn't, and that's just how it is.
I think always be respectful is what it boils down to. Whether that's with whoever you're like dating or talking to, or even it's just like your friends around you. I ran into a situation with a dude I was hanging out with, and like I was hanging out with a girl, and he came in and he was like, "Oh, Alex, what's this one?" Like, insert whatever number, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Yeah. First of all, that puts everybody in a bad situation. So just be respectful to everybody in whatever in regards to that, because you don't know what it is. First of all, he just made up a damn number, and I had to like recover for it, and like it just wasn't. It's not a good situation, and we're not being respectful about it.
If it's like that big of a deal to you, like what's wrong with just asking the person you're dating what the reason is? Like we all sat here and talked about why like our counts are our counts and like what happens in life. Like we shouldn't be afraid to like ask our like people that we're dating and being like, oh, like if you're nervous about this and you're like if this is making you uncomfortable, like what happened through this that can make it less stressful for everyone. Like instead of sitting there and be like, oh, they have this count, this is their number, like just ask. Like I wouldn't be upset if a guy I was dating was like, hey, I went through some shit at some point, like this is what happened, you know, I'm a better person now. I'd be like, damn, that's beautiful, I'm gonna cry. Like I'm gonna cry.
Why am I crying in the club? But yeah, like we said, body count matters to some people it doesn't. And you know, that's just how it is. But yeah.
But for real though.
We got a what were you thinking segment. Go ahead, Sam. Take it away.
What were you thinking? Alright, so earlier today, took my dog out to go hiking. We went to the Lowell Observatory, hike, had a good time out there. Well, once we got into the car, we tried to back to downtown to go get something to eat. I stopped at a red light. I casually look over to the person next to me, and me and the lady lock eyes. Like we look at each other. We lock eyes.
It's intense.
But then she looks at my dog, who's in the window right behind me. She waves at my dog, looks back at me, and just looks forward. Oh my God!
Wow.
No. She was a white lady. I was
White tea.
Like she looked at me dead ass, looked at my dog, waved at my dog like he gonna wave back. then she casually looked back at me and turned forward. I was like, oh, okay. Wow. Okay, like what are you thinking? Like, I'm a human. You can't say hi to a human. I can wave back. I can say hi. She waves at a dog. Like, can't say hi. Can't speak English.
Damn.
I didn't even want to be mad. I was just like, fuck. Well, I'm gonna get this food. Shit.
Yeah.
That was my 2 pennies right there.
But for real though. So about last night.
All
right.
Not this last night, but was it Thursday night?
It's Thursday.
Thursday night.
It's Thursday.
Okay. You know, take it away.
I'm not starting this. This is Alex about last night.
I'm gonna start where my night started. So I was hanging out at my own place, and I was hanging out with my roommate Gumby. Shout out Gumby. And we were just drinking a little whatever, and then Rohan is like, "Yo, we want to come out," basically, and he comes over with the homie Mendoza, and so we're all chilling, and we like start pre-gaming there or whatever. Everything was nice. Then we went to Mendoza's house. We got a little bit more drunk. We had a lot of alcohol at this point. Then we picked up Rob on the way as well. So currently it's me, Rohan, Rob, and Gumby, and Mendoza. Disclaimer, real quick. Mendoza wasn't drinking until midnight that night, and we wanted to make sure that he was going to have a good one. However, the rest of us had been. So just keep that in mind going forward.
Oh my God. This already sounds like a mess. It was bad, bro.
But continue.
So we end up going downtown, and we go to Collins real quick. We grab a couple of drinks, and we meet up with some friends that were out there for one of their buddies' birthday. We're hanging out. We went on the dance floor. We were drinking all these drinks. Midnight hits, and Mendoza comes over, and he gets Rohan. And somehow, like, he was standing in front of all of these drinks he had, and he turned around, he was like, hey, come over here. Like, motion was over, and Rohan was like, what are you doing? What do you want? What are you doing to me? Automatically, not just,
What are you
just
doing to
distrusted. And then he, like, reveals these, like, 6 glasses of alcohol, and he was like, this is for me and you. And Rohan looks at me, and he was like, you having a piece of this? And I was like, he got it for y'all, dude. And he said,
Keep
oh,
in
God.
mind, what did he just say? He got these for y'all. So first of all, this motherfucker right here left me out to dry. So I want y'all to know that. I want y'all to see that. I want y'all to know that. He left me out here to dry.
I didn't want to impose. There was obviously 2 sets of drinks for the 2
Fuck
of
you
y'all.
for this. Alright, keep on going.
Rohan was outside before he was revealed these drinks.
This was some bullshit. I was coerced. Okay, you're a motherfucking bitch for this.
I was
Keep
just
on
trying to-
going with the story.
I was just trying to bring him back to the group so we can like move on with the rest of our night. But Mendoza had a different mindset going forward, and he just decided to fuck Rohan's life up for a good 15 seconds, and he really did.
God.
Continuing with the story.
So after that was pretty much the end of Collins. We went to Monsoon. And in your own words, you don't remember a damn thing about Monsoon.
I thought we went home. I'm not gonna lie. I thought we left Collins, went to Hawaiian, because I remember Hawaiian.
Yeah.
You also text me forgetting the whole night too, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
sent me Snapchats and you were like, Banna, none of that happened, and I was like, I have receipts here.
First of all, she did not have the receipts. I want y'all to know that. The receipts are not shown. I'm mad as hell, y'all. Making me upset. I'm getting pissed off. I'm getting pissed off in this
So
chair.
obviously we did not go home after Collins. We went into Monsoon, and as a matter of fact, we ended up just like finessing our way into Monsoon at that point.
Did we?
Yes.
How we do that?
We're calling this night
How we do
now.
that?
We went over to the bouncer, and they were like, "Now y'all gotta go to the side real quick." And then like half of us went to the side, and I stayed with you. I'm pretty sure this is what happened. And then we were just like talking, and they turned around, and you just walked in. And so I just followed you in.
Hey!
Then we got into Monsoon.
All right. Well,
And I was like, all right, cool.
there it goes.
So at Monsoon, I was hanging out with some other people. And honestly, I did not see you a lot. But every single time I saw you, you were not yourself. So for everybody who knows
Explain
Rohan, you know, like he's a very like uplifting kind of dude. He's got a lot of character. He's got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
This was not that. You were not that.
Different
No, what's
world.
wrong with
It is.
Just dead face,
Thursday
like fish
grind.
eyes the entire time. You couldn't talk. You couldn't walk very well. I was like, Rohan, how are you doing? This is what you did. This is what you did. You turn around like this. You turn around like this with like a drink in your hand. You're like,
Just that.
you're like, I'm doing good.
Did it have water? It had to have been
It
water.
wasn't water.
Nope.
And then you try to dap me up like this. And like you
Oh,
move
God.
the drink to the other hand. But this is how you did it. You went like this.
You could've just-
I said you went like this. I remember that. Though.
And then you
Why
came
do I
to
remember
tap
that?
me
You
like
unlocked the memory.
this. You came to tap me like this. This is how you came to tap me.
I'm glad it
It
came
was
out.
awful.
I'm glad I was a part of this.
Oh man.
And then you disappeared. I turned around to say something to somebody, and then I turned around again. You were gone. I saw you all of 3 times in Monsoon. Then, were you
this
with
is-
the more?
Yeah, I mean, this is we finished our night at Monsoon. Like it was just a chill night. To be honest, besides Rohan being all told up from the flow up. But yeah, so
Life comes at you fast, y'all.
the night ends. We actually ended up shutting Monsoon down. So we stayed there until like past like 1:30. You was not really dancing.
Damn, what was
Big
it?
fella.
Dancing?
Big fella, you was not okay. So your dancing was non-existent. So yeah,
Trying to dance?
we were trying to close the night out, and we all like huddled around outside and tried to figure out a game plan, what we were going to do, like if we were going to get food or not. And Rohan goes, "Where's my jacket?"
Oh man!
I remember this entire scenario now.
You do?
I came
Okay.
to at this
Go
point
ahead.
because I came to out of rage. I remember this. I came to out of rage. I was in Monsoon. I was ready to go. I'm ready to go home. I was like, "Where's my jacket? I got to get my keys because I'm trying to sleep in my own bed because I'm too fucked up right now. I want to eat some popcorn." I remember that's all I wanted to do. was go home and eat some goddamn popcorn. Is that too much to ask after a night of your homies peer pressuring you and not taking drinks that you offered? Because yes, Alex, I do remember that moment when I said, do you want to take this drink for me? And you said, no.
I didn't realize what you were doing. I'll be
You
honest.
hung me out to dry. So anyway, I remember looking for my jacket, couldn't find it. I was enraged. I was asking everybody. We were going all over the place, looking for bouncers, shaking people down. I was grabbing people's shirts. I was angry. The fury was in me. I was upset.
You were very mad.
I know I was very mad. I was pounding my fist. I remember that a whole lot. I was very mad. And then I get a call from Mendoza, who had gone home by this point, who says, hey man, your jacket's on my couch.
Keep in mind, this is like a solid 10 plus minutes of us all looking around and him yelling, trying to find this jacket.
Oh, it was more than 10 minutes. It was a good 20.
Yeah,
we went from Monsoons, outside, back into Monsoons, over to Collins, into Collins, in the back of Collins, outside of Collins, went to Hawaiian, and then he said, your jacket's been on my couch all night.
And you should have saw the look on Boat's face when he finally read that text message. He was like, oh my God. He started laughing and walking towards us. We what is going on, bro?
Nobody else started laughing.
Nobody else was laughing. Everybody was
funny. I said, y'all gonna think this is funny. Y'all gonna laugh. My jacket was at Mendoza's house the whole time.
Nobody laughed.
Alex looked at me and he said, nigga, can we go home now? And at this time we had a homie who was driving us home. He had just gotten off work. So we made it home. I got my jacket and I ate my popcorn. So that's a W in my book. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add it.
60
Let me put it right here.
60 wins.
Live
Here we
everyone.
go.
Hey, 58, right? 58.
Let's see where we at. Yeah, we're gonna be at 58 now.
There we go.
Glad I wasn't
58.
there, and
Okay.
also glad I wasn't there.
Me too, because I look at it. I walked away. I'm gonna go home.
I gotta go.
But yeah,
I got to go.
that's how last night went. We got a music recommendation for y'all. Bo's gonna take it away.
I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I don't care what your opinions are of this
It's
man.
so
I
close.
really don't. It's very serious to me. This is near and dear to my heart. I put my hand on the wrong one. I said to my heart.
To my
I was in the center of your chest, so
This-
it's
Okay. All right. The Chris Brown album, Heartbreak on a Full Moon. 45 songs of greatness. There are no bad songs on that. There are just songs that you might not vibe with as much. That's all it is. It's a banger. Every single one of them. My favorite song is Lost and Found. He comes out the gates and just grabs you. Pulls you into the album. I listened to it on Halloween night all the way through. Non-stop. Didn't stop not one time.
Just
Not a
what
break.
non-stop means.
Not a break. Not a break. Non-stop.
That's what that means.
Non-stop. Didn't end. Didn't quit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great look. Sam's listening to it right
Yeah,
now.
right
It's
now.
fire.
Oh my God.
It's fire. Which one are you
I'm
listening
listening to
to?
High End by
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Future Young Thug.
That's a
Actually,
good
I really
one.
like that song. It's a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, it's a really good one.
All of them are good, bro.
All of them are good. See,
I like that one.
I don't care what your
remember that
opinions
one.
are. I don't care. The album is great.
It's
He
a-
deserves a Grammy
It's
for
a
it.
really,
Do
it's a
not,
really
do
good
not
album.
confuse. Remember, he's an artist. That's his job. Anything
I
he
just
does
want to know,
outside
if you go to his concert, you doing all 45 songs or what?
He
No.
better.
Damn, no, he's not.
He
No,
better.
it will
No
be
Chris
opener.
Brown say, bro,
No
over
opener.
here at all.
No opener. Not an opener.
There's
at
no
all.
opener.
Just go.
No,
It's all him.
Just get it.
That album had 45 consistent bangers.
Also, y'all need to keep in mind, I'm not trying to justify it. This motherfucker was 17 when him and Rihanna got into it like that.
Look,
I didn't even
she was kind
know
of
that.
We're not going to talk about that.
I didn't even
We're not
know
Oh yeah, I don't fuck with this story. I
We're
don't
not
fuck with
gonna
all
I'm not
that.
shading him like that.
We're
I'm
not
just
gonna
saying
talk
he
about
was
that.
17
That's
years
a
old. Can you
whole-
believe that?
He's 28.
Y'all done?
What, 4 years?
Y'all done?
They really heated.
I'm just having a conversation. Right now.
But that was But For Real Tho, episode 3. We covered a lot. I hope y'all can relate. Hope y'all can, hear us and, agree with us in some sense. Shout out to Banna for coming through.
Shout out to Banna.
Wow. That's so
She really,
sweet.
she really
That's so
helped us
sweet.
with that female perspective and helped us open
Ah,
our
yes.
eyes a little bit more.
Be a female.
So anyway, she's not coming back. Third person,
I'm
man.
sorry.
No, we're not. None of us actually friends. I don't know any of these guys,
Yeah.
so it don't matter.
Yeah.
She was just she's a listener.
I just showed up.
Shout out to Kyle,
Shouts out to
even though
Kyle.
he's missing right now.
Shouts out to cameraman.
Yeah, shout out to Austin. He came through in the
That's my
cut,
husband.
and he's gonna help us put together a YouTube channel. I'm telling you right now, our YouTube channel is going to be called But For Real Tho Podcast. So keep a lookout for that.
Come on, skip.
And go follow our SoundCloud as well. But For Real Tho Podcast as well. And our Twitter page as well. But For Real Tho Podcast 1. That's the at name.
There's
BFRT
Yeah.
Podcast 1. That's the name. Alright. Here we go.
We
We're
out.
out.